Hello everyone, welcome to Introduction to Django webinar. I'm Sai Sandeep. I'm from ECE with IoT, Internet of Things and one sec. Some. Hi everyone, welcome to Introduction to Django webinar. Myself Sai Sandeep. I'm a backend developer at GDG VIT. Now it is known as DSC VIT. Okay, let's get started with the webinar. So what are we gonna discuss in this webinar? First, we'll be discussing about Django and its architecture. Then we'll learn about ORM and how Django ORM helps us in completing our work quickly. Then we'll go through the file structure of Django and advantages of virtual environment and what is virtual environment basically first of all. Before that, what is virtual environment and advantages of virtual environment and how do we install it. Then we'll go through installing Django and Django REST framework onto your PC. And then I'll explain you the difference between Django and Django REST framework. Finally, we'll make a CRUD API. Create, read, update, delete. So before starting, we'll wait for 2 minutes so that everyone could join the webinar. Okay, now let's continue. Introduction. What is Django? Django is a high-level Python web framework. So, Django is a web framework built entirely on Python. It's free, open source, and also follows model view controller pattern. I'll discuss about what is meant by model view control pattern in some time. In this case, we'll also call that as MTV or MVT architecture. Few people call it as MTV or MVT architecture. On the whole, they both are same. This part can be a bit confusing for newbies, but along the line you'll understand the logic between them. So let's go to next slide. What is a framework? Before I just said Django is a Python web framework. What is meant by a framework? A framework is a platform for developing software application. Simple and clean definition. A framework is a platform for developing software applications. Okay, now who uses Django? Instagram. I hope everyone has an account on Instagram. And Pinterest. Bitbucket is a Atlassian. I'm not sure about the exact company name. Bitbucket is one of their product. So why Django? Django takes care of much of hassle in web development, so you can focus on writing your app without needing to reinvent the wheel. It's free and open source. Instead of okay, I'll explain you with the example. Suppose if you want to make a login and register page normally will get the data, will save it, that's it, done. Login, after you get the data, you will validate the data whether it is correct or not. If it is correct, you need to log in. But over here, you need to do one more job, session. So whenever you log in, you need to create a session for him. Something like you need to create a session for him. Something like whenever he comes back, he needs to directly log into the website instead of typing it again, typing the credentials again. Okay, all these things will be done by Django with one command. You just type auth.authenticate login ID, username, password, and it will do everything for you. It's that simple. So you'll be focusing more on your logic than doing basic stuff. Django versus Flask. Django is a Python-based open source full stack framework with rigid application architecture. Flask is a Python-based light micro framework which has no specific tools, libraries, database abstraction layer. Okay, Django is designed for large or more complex web applications. For example, e-commerce websites or something like that. Flask is for some small applications, something like your portfolio or blog or something like that. Django has ORM support. I'll discuss about ORM in some time. Flask doesn't have ORM support, but we have something like SQL Alchemy or pure SQL queries to do this job without any limitation. Okay, to sum up, your choice of web frameworks boils down to the kind of project you want to build and time you invest. For Django, you can build complex application in less time. For Flask, Flask is basically for simplicity. If you are dealing with a small project, then you can go for Flask. If you're dealing with a big project, then you can come to Django. Prerequisites: Python and API, application programming interface. So this is a web app in browser. Okay, now you send a request to your server. This is web server. Okay, you send a request to the server will do all the it will do all the logic you want to do, and if you want to store the data, it will store in database, or else it will, if you want to get the data, it will get the data from database and it will return back the response. Okay, so the API is not a database or not even a server. It is the code that governs the access points for the server. Okay, I'll summarize for you. Okay, let's assume you have a portfolio which has a contact form. Okay, so you want to save the data if someone fills it. So we can make an API for that, and in that website we'll link that API. Okay, now whenever a guy fills the data, it will come to the server. Now from server it goes to the database. Got it? Okay, now architecture. Before this, I'll just head on and I'll see if you have any doubts. Okay, I don't find any doubts for now. Let's head back to this. Okay, architecture. Suppose this is the user. He requests the Django to give some data. What happens? It comes to, first it goes through settings.py and it goes to URLs. And I'll explain about the settings.py everything in some time. In URLs, from URLs, there's something like views. In views will write the logic what we need. So something like if you want to get the data and you want to check if that guy is like suppose you have a contact form and you want to check if the based on the data you say you got the name, okay, you want to check that name and you want to store it in database. So all the sorry, I'm so sorry, yeah, okay, suppose you get the age from contact form and you want to check if that guy is under 18 or above 18, or yeah, under 18 or above 18. And if he is under 18, then you need to return you are not eligible for this. If it is above 18, then you need to proceed. All this, some kind of logic, whatever you write will be written in views. Okay, and model is for database. You write all your database. I mean, suppose if you want to make a table, you write one Python class which converts your Python code into table. Okay, and to get the data which is required for this particular application or whatever, suppose I'll explain you with an example better. So you want to do a, okay, let's take this example. You guys added a product to cart, right? So you have a product and now you want to get the details of that product. So you request your model, give the details of that particular product. Now what model does is it goes to database and it will get the data from database to model, and from model to view it sends. And now you want to display that particular data, whatever you got from model and data, into template. That's it, as simple as that. If you have any doubts, I'll clear in some time. Object relational mapping. So okay, let's get back to the same example which we discussed before. There's a portfolio and you have a contact form. Now let's assume 4 users fill the form. Okay, or his name is, okay, I can see his name is I mean, you asked his first name, his last name and phone number. Okay, and now every user will have a different data. So how do we store this? We store this in a database. Okay, and how do save it in a database? We need SQL commands. And do you want to write the SQL commands by your own in Django? Obviously not. So we have something like Django ORM. Okay, it converts your Python code into SQL. It makes your job easy. Okay, and this is a Python object, and I mean, this row can be represented as a Python object. This is because of Django ORM. File structure. Before this, I'll head on to doubts. How is MPT different from MVC? So MVT is nothing but of MVC, where view relates to controller and template relates to view in MVC pattern. They both are same. Okay, view is known as controller in this case and template is known as view. And this webinar is recorded for later. Yeah, this is recorded, you can watch it afterwards. Could you try to explain the API bit, like okay, you want me to explain the API again? Okay. Good. Let's go to API view, APIs again. Okay, so okay, suppose now in this case we'll assume you have Amazon in your phone, and Amazon requires its backend using APIs. Okay, now you search for a product and you want to know what all, I mean, you want to put the products over there. Something like if you search for some ball, you need to get all the balls over there. Okay, Now what you do is you request your backend to send the data, so send the product data of all the balls, product which relate to balls. Okay, and once you send a request, okay, over here in views, I'll go to here. I can explain very well over here. Okay, now you have a URL. You'll request, your mobile app will request to this URL wherever, and which will link to a specific function or class in your views. Okay, what it does is it goes to model and it gets the data from model and it returns the response to the web browser or app. So in this case, what we thought is an app. So it will get you back the data. I mean, data whatever you requested to your app. Got it? I hope I cleared your doubt. I'll just check that. When you say backend, what's the segregation, API and server? As I said before, an API is not a database or not even a server. It's just the one which links your application to your server. By the way, MVC is not equals to MVT, it's MTV actually. File structure. This will be, I'll show you a command to create your Django project. This will be your project name. Okay, this is the container of entire project. Manage.py. There will be a Python file named manage.py. This is a command line utility to interact with Django project. I'll show you what exactly manage.py can do for you. Okay, and this is your project, the name of your Django project. The folder name will be the name of your Django project, and there will be init.py. This file is required for Python to treat like this directory is under the project. That's it. You need to make sure there's underscore init underscore dot py, so that that means that you are saying your project, this file this particular folder comes under the project. Okay, and settings.py, all your configurations required for your Django project is mentioned over here. And urls.py, management of URLs to provide mapping to view. I guess I can explain more about this when I'm dealing the CRUD API part. Okay, and there's something like in Django we have something like project and apps. Okay, there will be some n number of apps under your project. So your project has a root configuration. Here the settings.py is a configuration and urls.py is root URLs configuration. Now what happens is there will be n number of apps linked to your project, so you can segregate your whole code into parts, so there won't be too much clutter in one place. So if you have a suppose if you are dealing with authorization, there will be an app for authorization. You can directly go there and you can check the code. Whereas if you are dealing with some other profile, there will be a different app for profile. You can directly go to that views and you can check it out. So there's something like migration folder. I'll explain about this. And if you in some time when I'm dealing with models, and these are for static files and these are for templates. Okay, there's something like static pages and dynamic pages. Static pages are nothing but they don't have any data which is getting rendered from database. Something like if you have a portfolio and you can't keep all the suppose if you have a portfolio and which has achievements of you, your achievements may not change from your achievements won't change every day. So what you do, you just type your HTML code and you keep it over there. That means it is a static page. And coming to dynamic pages, suppose if you have a weather website, something like every day it needs to get changed. updated, sorry, every day it needs to get updated. That is a dynamic page, something like that. Okay, all your css and js comes under static, and templates we have html files. Okay, we use dtl, Django templating language, to make it dynamic. And forms.py is for form validations if you have any form, and admin.py, I'll explain about this in some time. I guess it's better to explain with an example. Okay, there will be some models is for, as I said before, models is for, suppose if you have if you want to create a table in the database, you need to write a Python class in models.py, and you need to type two commands, and it will create a table in your database. And what are those two commands? I'll explain you in some time. Okay, and models.py is that file, and there will be something like views.py. Views.py is your logic of your whole thing. All the logic will be written in views.py, and db.sqli3 is your database. Virtualenv. Virtualenv is a tool to create isolated Python environment. I'll explain you in easier terms. Suppose you are working on Django 1.0 version. Okay, after a few days, and you have a project A, which is completed, and after a few days you migrated to Django 2.0. Okay, and you have project B. So now after a few days you got to know there is some error in project A which you need to solve, a bug. Okay, now what you do is you run project A. It won't work. Why? Because you have Django 2.0, which, but you built it on Django 1.0. There may be few changes in the library code, so it won't work. So what do we do? How do we solve this? There we get this concept of virtualenv. Virtualenv creates an isolated Python environment for you, just for you. Okay, to do that, just type pip3 install virtualenv. Okay, I'm just gonna go to my VS Code and install it. Here I have a terminal. I'm just gonna clear this. pip3 install virtualenv. It shows requirement already satisfied. That means it is installed in my lab, in my PC. So heading back. Okay, did you get some error like this, pip not found? If yes, okay, you can get a tutorial from this particular QR code, or else bit.ly dsc. Okay, there you have a solution for this particular problem. Cool. So let's move on. How do we create an environment? So for that, head on to your terminal again. Virtual env. This will create an environment for you. One sec. Okay, yeah, makes sense. So to activate it, you just type source env bin activate. Okay, and this will activate your virtual environment. To deactivate, you just type deactivate. That's it. It will deactivate your virtual env. So let's move. Wait one sec. This is for Linux and Mac. To activate the virtual env. To activate the virtual env in Windows, you need to type this env /scripts/activate, and this env is nothing but your whatever your virtual env name is, virtual environment name. Here, whatever name you gonna give over here. Okay. Suppose if you give venv, then it will be source venv bin activate, venv scripts activate. Okay. And question and this time, let's go. Okay, so how does Django work? Once okay, history explain, answer history. I'll explain you one thing. Please go to first slide once where you explain the definition of Django for sure. What if I don't want to use a templating engine? No issues. It will work without templating engine. You can make only REST APIs. I'll explain you one of the REST APIs sometime. Cool. Uh, let's go back to our first slide from someone else. Yeah, let me check. So, Django. Django is a web framework built on Python, entirely on Python. It's free, open source, and allows you to. It follows MVC architecture. Cool. It is known as MPV also, and this part is a bit confusing because for freshers, but yeah, the architecture part is a bit confusing for freshers, but when you start programming in Django, then you'll automatically get to it. On the whole, whenever you are working with backend, it is all about your practice. It is not much about it is not much about this uh, theory. It's about theory as well, but around 70 to 60% is about practice. How exactly it is going on. Okay, it's time. Let's make it read API. Create, read, update, delete. To create a Django project, you need to type python3 manage.py start project name. As I said before, manage.py is a command line utility for your Django. One second, I'll just show you. Sorry, it's Django-admin start project. Your project name. Let's make it DSC Django. Okay, so there is a typo. I'm just gonna create a logo. DSC hyphen net. And now change directory DSC Django. And this, if you see what all files are there, there's a folder named DSC Django and manage.py. Okay, and now if you wanna make an app, you need to type start app. Now I'm gonna make an app named core. So now if you type ls, you can see core. Yeah, here you can see core DSC Django and manage.py. Cool. And now I'm just gonna open that folder in VS Code. And one sec, I'm just gonna go to slides again. create a super user. What is a super user? I'll create and I'll show. So we are in this repo directory. So I'm just gonna first before that I explained you about Virtualenv. I'm gonna create a Virtualenv over here. Virtualenv. Now once you do that, you can see a folder named env. Whenever you install a package, it will get installed over here, exactly in lib. So I'm just gonna activate this env, then activate it. Okay, and now I'm gonna install pip3 install Django. First we need to install Django onto a PC. pip3 install Django, and it automatically gets installed. Okay, if you get a pip error, I already showed a QR code, and you can also refer the description. You can get a docs over there. So now first Python 3 manage.py migrate. What is migrate? You can see there's something like applying all migrations, admin, auth, content type, sessions. What are all these? So okay, let's go to here and you can see some migrations folder. So whenever your model is made in models.py, so model is nothing but the one which we need to convert into a database table. So whenever you make changes to your model, there is a possibility of your table to break. Something like if there is a string field, okay, string column, okay, and there is few data over there. I mean something like few entries are there already, and if you convert into integer, then the model will the table will break. So Django does one thing. It double checks whether there's any possibility of your model to break, sorry, any possibility of your table to break. So if there's a possibility of any table to break, then it will inform you there's a possibility of table to break, don't do that. And it won't do it won't migrate. It won't do make migration. Sorry, I'm so sorry. It won't do make migrations. Once you do make migrations, then you need to type migrate to make it into effort. When you type migrate, then then actually it goes to the database. Cool. Whatever changes you made, it will reflect in the database. Now what I did, initially Django gives few tables to you, okay, to handle all your authentication sessions and so much. I'll show you. Okay, I'll just create the super user and I'll show you two of the tables. Create super user. That's it. And you're just gonna give your username. That's it. And now to run the server, you're just gonna type run server. That's it. And now you need to head on to your Chrome, and you need to go to that particular link. So I'm just gonna head on to my Chrome. So now 127/admin. Go to this URL. It has some username, password. Okay, just type type your username, password which you just created. You can see something like groups users. Users is a table where you can see all. If any user is registered, you can store it over here. Django gives a table for you to do all the registration and login. And it has something like when did he last log in, when did he actually created his account, his first name, last name, email address. And this is super user. The one who has access to this portal is known as super user. So if this box, if this boolean is true, that means he has access to this. If that boolean is false, that means he doesn't have access to it. And staff user is some bit different. And this is admin portal. Let's head back to VS Code. And let's get I'll just check once the docs. I think you might want to slow down a bit. Okay, sure. Good. Don't find any doubts. I'll just head back to VS Code. First, let's go to settings.py in your project directory. Settings.py, there is so much configuration over here. First, go to installed apps. I don't think I have enough time to discuss all the fields over here, but I'll discuss important things over here. So, installed apps. Over here, just configure your app name, whatever you just created. If you create an app in the directory, you need to configure it, or else Django won't know that you have created an app. So here we created an app named core, so I'm just configuring it. Okay, and then for now there's nothing to discuss over here. Now go to urls.py, just copy these 3 lines, and in core create a new file named urls.py and paste it over there and save it. And now head back to the I pasted this in core, that is apps your directory. I created a file named urls.py and I pasted this over there. Okay, head back to projects urls.py directory, file, and here just gonna along with path just import include and path whatever. I'm just gonna give API. You can give whatever you want. For me, I'm just gonna give API include core.urls. What does this do? Okay, if you get a route, basically if someone calls http 127.0.1 is to 8000 \API, then it will go to core.urls. That means after this, once in the route, the second part is if it is API, then it will redirect, it will go to this urls.py and it will find exact place where the code is situated for that particular route. This is known as route. Okay, now let's go and create a first model. So class my model, models dot model, and import uid. Okay, if I give id, that means integer. Integer is like 0 1 2 3. If you give id with auto increment, that means it will be 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, so on. So it is easy to guess. What do we do to make it, we should make it secure. So what should we do? So for that we use strings. So id equals to, this is known as uuid. So models dot uuid field default equals to uuid dot uuid4, and primary key equals to true. And now we're gonna have a field name that will be a char field. We need, if it is a char field, then you need to give max length to it, something like the maximum length the name itself suggests. For this I'm just gonna give 100. And now I have description, so I'm just gonna type descript models dot. See, description may be long, you can't guess how many how much length is it. So what do? I need something something like it should be very big or infinite. So I'm just gonna use text field. If you're gonna use text field, it is for big data, something like description. Okay, so it doesn't have max length. Usually if it is more than 1500, we use text field. Cool. And I'm just gonna give a number as well, might be mobile number, no, number something. Models dot integer do we need this? Why would people fill a mobile number? Now my, so we have two things, default FAULT defined variable, spelling okay, there are two equals to, that's working. And now we made a model. We'll ask Django to check if it is correct. So by how do we check that? Python 3 manage.py make migrations, and it shows create model my model. That means the migration is created, and the file, you can see it over here. It creates a file for you. Okay, and now how do we migrate it to a database? How do we make it come into F? So just type migrate, and it shows applying successful. Okay, that means it is successfully migrated. I'll just head on to slides once again. From here I'll just go to start project, start app, create super user, done, run server, done. If you have any question and answers, let's just get started with that. Let's get is using VS Code. Yes, it does, but it's tough to use NoSQL databases. Front-end is Flutter app, backend is Django. Obviously, it is possible. You create a REST API and just communicate with your Flutter app. I'm just gonna give a sample over here. Okay, I can't find any doubts over here. Let's get back to our slides. Django REST framework. Django REST framework is a powerful and flexible tool to build APIs. Okay, so how do we install Django? How do we install or configure Django REST framework for a project? So I'm just gonna go to VS Code. terminal. First installing pip3 install Django REST framework. Shows installed, and now setup. First add I'll show you the slide so that you can add REST underscore framework to your installed apps in project settings folder. So for that, go to VS Code again in settings.py. Settings.py. Here you go here and just add REST underscore framework, and now let's go back to slides, and that's it. You configured Django REST framework perfectly, and let's go and complete the TD part, then we can do the hands-on part. So models. A model is a class that represents a table or collection in RD. I told you so many times till now. So yeah, this is the thing. Model is a class that represents a table or collection in RD. I just created a model, my model. I'll show you that as well once again. My model ID is a UUID field. It's a unique string, and and a name, a char field of max length 100, and description is a text field. Let's head back to slide. Okay, serialization. Now we discussed Django ORM before. What does Django ORM do? From a table row, it converts into a query dictionary, that is Python object. Now we can't send the Python object to your Flutter app. Just someone asked about Flutter app. Yeah, we can't send that direct Python object to a Flutter app. So we need to convert it to a lightweight thing. So for that we are gonna use JSON, or else whatever you want to use, JSON, XML. There's so many encoding content types. To convert Python object or query dictionary or anything like that, whatever Django ORM is generating, mainly it generates query sets. To convert it, you use serialization and requests. To get the data, see, whenever a API is called, you're sending some data. If it is a form, then you're sending the form. In our case, you're sending the name and description to our backend. So to get the data, we need requests. And okay, now you have a you have a long data which is coming with you from the database, and to the user. You are a client. Okay, you are the user, that is mobile app, suppose. Okay, and now you got a choose data. Now you want to check whether it is correct or not. How do you do that? Easily, we're gonna configure status codes in backend and check the status code. If it is correct, you'll get success status code. If it is wrong, if it is a client error, then you will get some 400 or 404 or whatever, which is configured in backend, and based on that you can directly easily know whether the data whatever you received is correct or wrong. And any question and answers, sorry, any questions? Okay, which API? Okay, what is your doubt? Very down. Can you explain your doubt properly? Sample web app with Django and MongoDB. Yeah, for sure in future we'll do that. I would suggest you to push. I would suggest you to push migrations to the GitHub, because if you make if by mistake if you push your migrations once, okay, you need to push it every time. I would usually push my migrations to GitHub. There is any migration, something like if you make migrations again, okay, it needs to know your previous entry, that is all the files. I'll just show you in VS Code. Here it will see it's your okay, I'll just make one change. I'll just change to descript, okay, and now I'll make migrations. Did you rename my model? Yes. Rename field disk. Now what happens is it created one more. Let's minimize this. Created one more file, okay, which has a dependency of the previous file, that is 0001 initial, okay. So I would recommend you to push your migration to GitHub. And there's no other doubts till now. Cool. Okay, let's make the CRUD API. We made a model. Now first we'll go to views. Once there's some voice error over here. Yeah, am I audible? Excuse me, am I audible? Someone reply. Okay, let's get back to views. First you need before before views we'll make a serializer. So in course make a file name serializers.py, okay, and now in serializers.py you can import serializer from rest_framework. Import serializer, okay, and now you're gonna make a class, serializer class. So for that just type before that, sorry, from dot models you need to import your model also. From dot models import, for every model we need to create a serializer. It's not like you can create only one serializer for one model, you can create like a number of serializers. So from dot model we gonna import my model. And now our class is class my serializer. This will be serializers dot model serializer, and you need to write it in a meta class. So class meta model equals to whatever your model is. In this case it is my model, and fields fields equals to __all. you need to send all the fields. I'll exclude or include only one field, and I'll show you a demo in some time whenever we are testing it on Postman. For now, let's have it all. Okay, and now let's go to views. Let's write our first view. For that, you need to import few things again. So that will be obviously you need to import serializers from .serializers. Sorry, you need to import your serializer class which you created. Import my serializer. This is what we created. I'll make it in this way, it will be clear. So from .models import my model. Once you do this, you need to import few REST framework things from REST framework dot views import API view. There are few generic view sets in REST framework. Okay, this will give you few functions which will make your work faster. Okay, that base class is API view. If you want more details about API view, I'll give you a link. You can study more about it. If I need to explain everything, whole thing about API view, it takes more time. So from REST framework dot response import response. This also I'm just going to import it right now. Framework import class my my API. Okay, and it will be we need to pass API view over here, and we'll make two requests here. One will be get and one will be post. Get will give all the data whatever stored in the database, okay, and of that particular model, and post will put the data in the database, post the data into database. So def get. If it for get request, you need to type it as function name as get. Okay, now arguments pass self and request. Okay, and fun, I'll just write pass, and I'm gonna make a post request as well and start coding. Post self comma request pass. Now I'll start writing get request. So first we'll type some serializer underscore object, a variable name, okay, equals to what is your serializer? You need to get the objects from database. So it means like something like get all the objects. Whenever you call this get request, you need to show all the objects. So what we do is my model, whatever your model is, okay, dot objects dot all. That's it. It will get all the objects. And now I already told you this will be a query dictionary. Yes, you need to serialize that. So you'll type serializer equals to what is your serializer? My serializer. Of whatever your object is, serializer object. Since we don't have only one object, we have many objects, so we're gonna write many equals to true, because there won't be only one entry, there will be n number of entries. Okay, now you need to return it. Return response of serializer dot data, and as I said you before, you need to send a status code. Status equals to 200. Okay, and this will give all the this is a usual error. Usually ignore it for a while. I'm just gonna run server so that I'll know if there are any others. Since okay, I need to migrate it once. Yeah, my it showed you have one unapplied migrations, so you need to type python manage. Okay, I'm just running server again. Till now no errors. Let's move on. There's just some pilot error, so ignore it. Now post request again, serializer underscore object. No, here we don't have we don't need that. We just need to write serializer equals to my serializer of data equals to request dot data. This will get the data whatever he sent. I mean the user sent or client sent or app sent. If serializer suppose if suppose there's an integer field and if you send a string, then if you send it to a database, then it will pop an error. So what now you need to check whether whatever the data you receive over here, that is this thing request.data, is correct or not. I mean everything that will not create an error. Okay, so for that you just need to type serializer is underscore valid. This is a boolean. If it is true, okay, then it will give you, I mean if this will return true if everything is correct, or else it will return false. So if serializer dot is valid, then it is true. Now you're just gonna type serializer dot save. If everything is valid, then save the data. Okay, or else here we'll just write one more command, return response of serializer dot data. This will give whatever data we got and we saved, and status equals to 201. Okay, and else else return response status error serializer dot errors. Status equals to 400. Okay, and let's check these two things. So for that I'm just going to Postman. Postman is a software. So I'm just gonna create a new collection. Django webinar. Where is it? Django webinar. Here I'm just gonna add a request. First will be post request, and click on this, make it post. Your URL will be http 127.0.0.1 is to 8000 backslash. Before this we forgot to configure our URLs. So for that, okay, just go to your app urls.py. Here start type here import from dot import views. Okay, and path. Okay, and for get and post I'll write, okay, I'll just write API. So what did we write it before here in this? Here we wrote API, so here will be push backslash, something like that. Okay, now you type views dot, what is your class name which you wrote in views? Just gonna check, I'm not sure. It's my API. So my API dot as underscore view. That's it. You're done. And so just save this. And since we already configured our apps URLs over here, everything is fine now. So I'm just gonna go to Postman. Okay, backslash API backslash. I'm just gonna check one sec. Backslash push backslash, and now go to body form data name. Here you need to give whatever name you want to send. For now I'm just gonna give Sandeep. Okay, and one more afterwards in next line you need to give description, so it will be a script, and your description will be I'm a Django dev. Okay, here there's a typo, one sec. USH, and the server is running. Send the data, and it shows status code. You can see it over the data we sent. You can see it over here in body, and this is a JSON response, and this is your ID, this is the name, this is the description, whatever. So it will be HTTP. I'm just gonna same URL. I'm just gonna copy this. Control C. That's it. It's just gonna send a get request. No need to add form data, anything. You can get one more. Now I'm gonna add one more thing. I'll just add Akshat. I'm a front end dev. So success. Okay, I'll add some 2 or 3. So I'll add Abhi, Sheikh, backend, and get amen. Yeah, now you can see get request. You got all the data whatever we pushed. Now this is create and view. Now create and read, not view. So now we'll make update. For that I'm just gonna go to VS Code again. So in VS Code, go to views again. I don't want to write it over here like I put. I'll just create one more class my API update. One second, I want to check all the doubts till now. So let's see the doubts before proceeding. Which one is better, Django or Rails? Rails is currently I'm working on VS Code, and for web application, yeah. I'll explain you about this bro, what is meta class. I'll explain you in some time once I complete the update and this thing, update and delete. Which one is better, Django or Rails? It's up to you, totally up to you. Django has few features and Rails have few other features, but it's totally up to you. So let's go back to VS Code and start. Okay, I'll just wait for 2 minutes so that if you have any doubts, just put it up over. If you have any doubts, just put it up over here. where you put the code request. Can you explain in brief? Django, does Django supports Oracle database? It supports MySQL and data. Django supports yeah, Django supports Oracle database also. It supports Postgres, Oracle, MySQL, and it supports all the relational database. MariaDB. Yeah. Yeah, I don't find any other doubts. Let's go back to VS Code. So here in get request, we're gonna delete it. Okay, self comma request. Wait, delete request def post self comma request. Here we will update description. For now, just pass it. And here, let's just start writing our code. Remove the statement. Okay, and we'll start writing it. So it will be serializer underscore object. This is a variable name which I'm using, equals to. First we need to filter out and check what exactly is the model is. So it will be my objects.filter my object.objects.filter, and id will be equals to. You need to send the id along with whatever. I mean, suppose for any object. One sec, I'll show in Postman. So this is an object. You need to know exactly what is this will be a row in the database. You need to know exactly what row so that you can update it. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll get the row details from the user itself. I'm gonna write comma pk will be primary key, that will be id. He'll send us the id and we'll update that id or delete id, whatever he wants to do. Okay, and this since this is a get request and we are deleting it, so just type serializer underscore object dot delete. That's it. It will delete your whole request. Okay, and now we're gonna return response. Okay, we'll just give the status code 200. Okay, and now there's a possibility that there's some typo in the pk. So what we'll do is we'll do some error handling over here. Okay, put this in a try and except if there's any exception, just return. The only possible error in this whole thing will be the object not found. The URL for that is 404. and that's it. This is done. Delete is done. Now I don't think there are any errors. Let me check for any errors. No, there are no errors. So coming back, let's work on update and we'll be done with that. Just remove this line, okay, and first we'll get the description. So I'll just type descript, okay, equals to request dot data of description, whatever you want to keep. I'm just gonna type description. I'll tell you where we use this again, okay. And now object equals I'll put it as serializer object. This line will be same almost, okay. Here also we need pk, so I'm just gonna write pk over here. Okay, and serializer object equals to my model dot objects dot filter, this thing. And now I'll just type serializer object dot update, and I need to send description, so I'll just type descript. First I'll go to my I'll just get the spelling correctly so that there won't be any typo. This will be this equals to this thing, okay. And now this will be automatically updating it. Return response of status code equals to some 201, okay. So here we are giving 200 and here, okay, there's a possibility there's a typo in pk, or else there's a they didn't send the description with you, so we'll do some error handling. Put this in try. In case of exception, except return response of 404, and let's go check it. Let's go to Postman and we'll add a request, and it will be update, okay. And this will be a post request, and I'll just before that, sorry, I forgot to configure the URLs over here. I forgot to configure URLs like what we did before, something like this. I'm just gonna paste this and type update, update delete, okay. And update delete, and you need to specify your this my class name, sorry, and rest enough. So just copy this, head on to your Postman, okay, and paste it over here. I'll get the root URL from here. Update, Control V, backslash, update delete, backslash. Make sure you give backslash over here in URLs also. And now one more thing. I already told you need to send pk, that means primary key, along with the whatever you are doing. So we need to get the primary key. Where do you get that? From URL. So you're gonna write it or something over here, that is string pk, okay. Now if you write pk over here, whatever you write over here, okay, needs to be there over here as well. I mean this both should be same, or else, okay, or else it will pop error. So it will be afterwards start a backslash in the last. Cool. And now let's head back to Postman, okay. And now you need a pk, So I'll just go and I'll get some Abhisheks. Okay. And I'm just gonna paste that over here, backslash, add a backslash. Okay. In body form data, I'll add whatever we wrote it in views, that is this. I'll show you. So here we wrote something, right? This we need to copy and paste it over here. So this is that, and so here this is I'm a backend dev, and I'll say minus updated, hyphen updated. Sorry, it's updated. So it shows 201 created, that means it is successful. Now we'll execute the get request again, and if it shows minus updated, that means whatever we change got. We'll create one more request. We'll name it as delete, delete, okay, in Django webinar. Okay, and now same URL again. Okay, I'm deleting Abhishek. So I'm just deleting Abhishek's instance. No need to make any other modifications. Just do that. Shows 200. Okay, that means it is done. So, and now execute the get request again, and see Abhishek's is not there. Cool. And now we need to make sure the post request, whatever we are making, is authenticated. How do we do that? So for that, just go to your Chrome, okay, and okay, just go to Joser, DJOSER. Okay, and here just go to authentication backend, token based authentication. Now before all this, head on to your terminal first, head on to your terminal and type, just stop the server for a while, okay, and type pip3 install Joser. Okay, and run server again, and I'll just go back to my Chrome. Okay, copy these three. We already added this line. Okay, now just copy these three lines. Sorry, these two lines, and paste it over in settings.py installed apps. Add a comma, go to list, save. That's it. And now go back, go to the copy these two, go to your urls.py, which is in your project urls.py, comma, paste it, and change this to path, and change this also to path, okay, and remove this r and this and save it. Okay, and now go back to your thing, Chrome, and just copy these lines, go back to your settings.py, paste it somewhere, doesn't matter, just paste it over here and just remove this line. Cool, and save it. And now stop the server. It shows you have to applied migration, so you need to migrate it. Just type migrate and you are done. Start server again, get down, go to your thing, Chrome or whatever browser you want to use. Go to token endpoints, before that, sorry, base endpoints. Okay, /users. This is to create a user. Okay, and now we'll execute this. So in your postman, okay, create a new request in the same this thing. This will be your register. Okay, this is a typo. I'll just right. Okay, and now the URL will be auth /users. That's it. And in body form data, you give first underscore name. Okay, my first of all I'm just using Akshat because I already have an account. You get confused. Last underscore name equals to Gupta. Okay, username equals to Akshat bg23@gmail.com. Okay, password equals to Akshat. I'll just type something. BSc BAT 3. Okay, that's it, done. There's a post request, send it as post, and it shows user is created, 201 status code. That means user is created. And now what you do is you need to log in. So what you do, go to one more thing, create one more request. Okay, http auth /token /login. Okay, and in body mein form data, go to that username and just copy the username, whatever you have it over here, paste it over here, and copy the password, paste it over here, and type password and send it, and you get a auth token. Now I'll just name this login. Okay, and now head on to your VS Code back. Okay, in VS Code, go to your views. In views may you need to write 2 lines over here. Permission classes equals to permission dot is authenticated. Okay, and just copy the line, paste it over here, and save it. Okay, and now I'm just going back to my postman, executing the get request which we made here. It shows authentication credentials not provided. So what you do is go to headers, type authorization, here type token space your authorization, this token, auth token. Okay, and type send, you get it. You can do the same thing applies for all the other things as well. And now let's go back to our webinar slides. So question and answers time. We are done with everything. I'm gonna wait for some time and clear all your doubts. Okay. Post method, get or post method. I will write code for both. Get is for getting the data, post is for posting the data. Get means you are just seeing all the data whatever you received. Post is for putting posting the data into database. Application with API. Body means what? Explain with some example. I can't. Okay. Uh, yeah. Here. Lucifer explained it perfectly. Thanks, Lucifer. Yeah. So there are any other doubts, let me know. And I remember someone asked about metadata. So what is meant by a meta class? Sorry, meta class is a class whose instance is a class. It defines the behavior of classes and their instances as a class like. And for now, just use it like that. In future, you'll get to know more about it. It will take time. I'll wait for like 5 minutes and get. Yeah, I mean, clear all your doubts. And just before ending, do you guys wanna practice? If yes, then there's some project for you. You can go to this link or scan this QR code, and you'll be able to see the project. Okay, and just try to solve the project. If you have any doubts, then you can mail your doubt to me. My mail ID is this. Actually, it is just this. RAYANUTHALAS @gmail. And my mail ID, all the code will be posted in GitHub. Give me like 15 minutes time. I'll push all the code to GitHub, and you can get the link of GitHub repository and all the resources for whatever I used. Okay, and you can use it for your future. And mainly, thanks for attending the webinar. Bro, I can't understand why you write code. I'll explain you one second. Then on your side, you can mail it to me. Your code, GitHub, repo link, and snip of command prompt. Bro, I can't understand why you wrote code for both methods. Both methods in a sense get and post, right? So okay, you wanna do, you have two works and you can't do both the works at a time, right? And so basically to get the data we are using get request, to post the data we are doing post request. As simple as that. See, you wanna put the data in the database and as well as you wanna get the data. To execute both you need two requests. And just check, just go deep in about get and post, you'll understand everything. If you guys don't have any other doubt, I'm gonna end this. Guys, don't have any other doubt? Django automatically detect client request methods. Yeah, I mean, since the function name is get, okay, it automatically detects. If you want to execute a get request, okay, one sec, I'll just show you in VS Code. So if you want to execute, see, not this URLs. In this URLs, you go to this particular class. Okay, this class is this. Okay, this class, if your request method is get, okay, then it will run this function. Okay, if your request method is post, then it will run this function. Okay, if your request method is get, it will run this function. If your request method is post, it will run this function. Thanks a lot guys for attending the webinar, and it's time to wrap.